Hi everybody, welcome to the channel. We're in a Range Rover L322 today. Should you buy one? Depends what you know about cars, really. If you're not a car fanatic, I would say don't do it. If you have no mechanical knowledge at all, don't do it. Because if you do have some mechanical knowledge, you can work out that something's not quite right with the car and get it fixed before it goes too extreme, and that way you can run them at a relatively sane cost. They're always going to be quite expensive to run. Again, buy the right one, you'll get 30 plus miles to the gallon. Buy the wrong one, you'll be into the high teens at best. If you floor it, you'll be in the low teens. So cost wise on running them, just on fuel, can vary dramatically just getting the wrong one. So some people say the TD6 is the worst of the bunch, but don't be fooled. It's a bulletproof BMW engine, so that's in its favour. Whereas the V8 BMW engine is fragile and has its problems. The replacement for the BMW engines on the petrol side. So you got a Ford engine essentially, Jaguar Land Rover engines. They have their issues and problems, so you look after them. 3.6 TD V8 looked after, and things like the EGRs either deleted or replaced, you'll be alright. You'll be alright, but the fuel economy will be worse than a TD6. If you get a good TD6, you'll get 27 to 30 miles to the gallon out of it. I've had 40 out of them on a run, but you have to take it really steady. The TD V6 3.6, you'll only get 25 to the gallon, and it won't get much better on a run. The TD V8 4.4, on the other hand, Jaguar Land Rover engine, is better. Still has problems with EGRs, and you need to look after it. Also has problems with turbos. You need to do regular oil changes on them, look after them. But fuel economy is better. I talked to some of the guys at Land Rover, and they were saying on a run they're knocking towards 40 to the gallon. They sort of do 30 to the gallon pretty much on a run all day long. You don't have to be too light-footed with them to get that. But they are more fragile. The TD6, not V6, TD6 is a strong engine, and it's a strong BMW engine. There's not a lot to go wrong with them, so they'll last. But the rest of the car around it is then fragile. So the older ones, suspension isn't as good as on the early ones as it is on the late ones for surviving things like airbags and compressors and all that sort of stuff. And the tanks rot out on them. Get the reservoir tank changed to an aluminium one. You can find them on eBay. That's not too difficult. So rather than a steel one, get an aluminium one fitted, and then that's one less problem. But yeah, you start sort of getting some problems with the older cars, even if the engine's better. So I would just say, buy a very late, if you're going to have one and you don't know too much about cars, get a very late TD V8. Or even a supercharged isn't bad, but the fuel economy will kill you on it. But a TD V8, tons of power. It's got the brakes off the supercharged, it's got that much power. And they are a good car in the suspension and everything was improved. and yeah, it all sort of starts adding up to be a better car. But it's, you know, still the case of, if you have some mechanical knowledge, you'll work out, oh, something's not quite right, and you can save yourself a fortune by just getting it fixed and working out what's going on with it. I always have it on the suspension graph on the infotainment system, because you can see then if one corner just dips down now and again and back up, and dips down now and again and back up, it's probably got a leak on that airbag, and overnight it'll settle and the whole car will go down. It won't tell you anything, because every so often during the night the car just works out, am I level or not I level, and if it's not level it'll try and level itself. The only way you can do that is to drop the level slightly on all the four or the other three corners. So once one corner goes down a bit and the other three drop to suit, one corner goes down a bit, so by morning it's flat. But you can see it when you're driving along. If you're watching the graphic on the screen of the suspension and what it's doing, you can see all that corner dips when none of the others dip, but that one does, and then it comes back up again, and then it does it again, and it's always the same corner. So you can see what's going on with it, and you can see let's preempt a problem there of one, not running with a faulty airbag that's going to drop the car overnight, and two, running with a faulty airbag that's going to burn the compressor out because it runs more than it needs to. And it's all those types of little things that if you know a little bit about cars, you can think about it, you can sort it out. So that's what I would say. Get yourself a bit of knowledge. Generally, other than that, you know, the early Range Rovers had problems with heating systems and all sorts of stuff. The L322 is pretty good. It was well put together when it was first put out there in 2002. They'd learnt a lot from the P38 and all the problems that had, and got rid of most of them, and they are pretty good, you'd have to say, and they're a nice drive. The fact that they're independent suspension and not axles, solid axles, means they ride better, more car-like, still have great ability. Put the right tyres on it, that's the only other thing you need to do. You start going 22-inch wheels and road bias tyres, it's going to be useless even if you get on wet slippery grass. You see videos of Range Rovers stuck in fields and there doesn't look to be anything but a bit of wet grass. It's all the wrong tyres, that's all. You go too wide, the tyre doesn't dig into the grass. You go wrong tread pattern, it doesn't get any grip. So yeah, the original, on most of them they came with Pirelli Scorpion tyres. You stick to them, and for a road tyre they are awesome. You start going slightly all-terrain tyre or something like that, BF Goodrich or even a General Grabber, they are just unbeatable. You get a bit of snow and you realise just how much better they are than anything else that's out there, especially on the right tyres. So yeah, if you want one, pick well, spend your time looking at them.